Now, the Trump Commerce Department is a little bit of a mess. According to a new article in Politico, the entire department is in disaster mode under the leadership of Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross. Now, according to Politico's sources, Ross doesn't really do a whole lot other than spend most of his time at the White House trying to stay on Donald Trump's good side. So now sources say that Ross's penchant for what they call managing upward, which is funny because that basically can be translated to kissing his ass, at the expense of his staff, is leading to what one observer described as, quote, a disaster over there. Oh, as opposed to the disaster in the White House, the disaster in every single department that we currently have. Right, a disaster over there. Which one? Which dumpster isn't on fire? That's all I'm asking. But this is a former top commerce official that was in the Obama administration, who speaks often with former colleagues who are, unnamed, of course, for fear of their jobs. Theo Lecomte said this, quote, with our ongoing trade wars and the census looming, commerce needs functional leadership in order to be effective. And right now, they just don't have it. I wonder why. Oh, right. Since he spends most of his time in the White House, he doesn't really do a whole lot in the department. In fact, one of the major complaints from the people that work for him is that he's not there. He's AWOL, essentially. Ross, and this is according to the article, a successful investor before Trump tapped him for his current job, isn't frequently seen in the building talking to employees or rallying them to do good work. Ross also doesn't hold routine meetings with senior staffers, according to a person familiar with the department's inner workings and a former outside advisor. A departure from past practice that one source attributed to the secretary's lack of stamina. He's got no stamina. He's got low energy. But wait a minute, Donald Trump, you picked him. You picked this guy. I picked the best people, the greatest people. No, you picked the people with, who like to sleep on the job. Literally, him and Ben Carson both love to sleep on the job. Now, one former advisor said this of Ross, quote, he's sort of seen as kind of irrelevant. The morale is very low because there's not a lot of confidence in the secretary. He's not respected in the building. He's not respected. You know why? It's probably because he's 81 years old and he can't stay awake during meetings. According to the article, because he tends to fall asleep in meetings, they try not to put him in a position where that could happen, so they're very careful and conscious about how they schedule certain meetings, said the former outside advisor. He's asleep. There's a small window where he's able to focus and pay attention and not fall asleep. Again, it sounds like we're dealing with Donald Trump here. There's a very small window where he won't fall asleep or he won't get bored. Now, look, here's the thing. I'm not trying to be ageist here. Yes, the guy's 81 years old. My man Bernie's in his mid-70s, right? But here's the thing. The difference between Bernie and Wilbur Ross is that Bernie Sanders has a lot of energy. He's got a lot of passion. He's got a lot of energy. He loves what he does. And you can barely catch up to the guy. I know, I've been trying. Every time he comes to Michigan, I try to catch up with Bernie Sanders. No, he's in, out, gone to the next stop, usually South Carolina. And so here's the thing. Honestly, most of what's missing is the ability for Wilbur Ross to give a crap about his job. He does not care about being an effective government servant. All he seems to care about right now is, of course, holding a position of power and privilege and making sure Donald Trump is happy. And so there's no surprise that under Ross's leadership, in an administration that is hostile to the idea of actually governing, that there is infighting, that there's power struggles, even in this own department. And, of course, alongside that, super low morale. And that's not an accident. That's the environment that Donald Trump himself has fostered. And you know what they say, the fish rots from the head down, right? Which is why you end up having quotes like this. This is great. This is Roger Fisk, a commerce official who was in the Obama administration, also said, quote, there's great frustration among people who really want to use their skills and talents to help this country and are being marginalized by a White House who doesn't need to ask any questions because it already thinks it has the answers. All of that expertise is just lying dormant in plain sight. Well, I got news for you. The Trump administration has no room for your expertise, talent, or solutions. That's not what they're there for. The entire point of Wilbur Ross's appointment to that position is to do whatever Donald Trump wants him to do. Mainly, push the citizenship question. Now, look, that question has been stopped because right now, despite what Donald Trump says, it's unconstitutional. You can't actually include a citizenship question on the census. That's not going to stop him from trying, and he certainly is trying, and continuing to try to push this through the courts to allow him to basically discriminate against places where there are large amounts of undocumented immigrants, which by law must be included in the census. That's what the Wilbur Ross Commerce Department is doing right now. That's what they're focusing on. Nothing else, really, other than, hey, we got to do what the tyrant baby in chief wants, and so we can't really worry about anything else. Failing that, what's the point of Wilbur Ross? I don't find it surprising that he sleeps on the job more than Ben Carson. I mean, at least Ben Carson is out there trying to ruin housing for minorities. After all, look, here's the thing. His appointment has never been about good government. These guys, maybe some of you would get mad with this comparison, but these guys are like Ron Swanson, except without the charm, the humanity, and actual soul. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.